UFC 323 is absolutely stacked. Dana White made some huge announcements. We got Merab versus Jan, Pantoja versus Van, Moreno versus Taira, Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov. We got Henry Cejudo taking on Peyton Talbott. That's an extremely weird fight. But starting off the main event, Merab versus Jan. Merab is back after only about 8 weeks. I'm not sure, dude. I know that people are talking about how Merab is just getting better and better and better. But I just feel like eventually you gotta slow down. You know, I think eventually you gotta slow down, and I don't think that if these two fought in March, I think Merab maybe would finish him. I think since they're fighting in December, 2 months after Merab's last fight, I think Jan might beat him, and there's a real chance that Jan might beat him. I think Merab's gonna come in there looking not as good as his last fights, dude. Not as good as his last fights. I do not think so. Sandhagen was putting it on Merab on the feet, and Merab did take some damage in that fight with Corey Sandhagen. I don't think it's a smart decision to come back this early, dude. I think it's a bad move by Merab. I think a 7-week turnaround is a bad move when you're a UFC champion, straight up. And I think he's going to maybe lose to Van. I don't see how, or not Van, Yan. I don't see how Petr Yan can beat him. I do not see how Petr Yan can beat him, but I don't think that it's a good idea that Merab is coming back right now, and I think that it might screw him over and he might lose his title. All right, he really might lose his title, but I'm not going to pick it to happen because I don't really know how Jan would actually win. I don't know how Petr Yan would actually win. So I couldn't tell you. I can't tell you that Jan's going to win because I don't know how Jan would win. So I'm going to pick Merab by a 50-45 decision, and I think he's just going to shoot a bunch of takedowns on Petr Yan, and it'll be very, very similar to the first fight. Except for I think that Merab will be even better on the feet. Way better on the feet. I think he's way improved. I don't think Jan is much improved from the Merab fight. And I think it showed in the Marcus McGee fight that his style is very similar. Not much improvement. He should have finished Marcus McGee if I was going to be any confident in him to win this fight. There's definitely a chance that he wins, especially with Merab making such a quick turnaround. But I'm not going to pick it. I'm picking Merab in that fight. But the other title fight on the card, Alexandra Pantoja taking on Joshua Van. That fight is absolutely amazing. It's super, super hyped up. Alexandra Pantoja has probably his most hyped up title defense yet. This is probably his best title defense yet. I can't think of a better title defense. Moreno, he won the belt off him. That's a really good win. Royval got beat by Joshua Van. Kaya Sakura, not a good title defense. Urseg, not a good title defense. Kai Kara France, it's a decent title defense. It's not the best title defense. I think that this is going to be huge on Pantoja's resume because I think that he's going to choke out Joshua Van very, very fast. And I think he's going to absolutely style on Joshua Van. I think he's going to choke him out in round 2 or round 3. And I don't think that Van's going to have much for him. On the feet, Van's going to have really, really fast hands, sure. But Pantoja's going to shoot quick. And I think the takedown's going to be there. And I think Joshua Van's going to be way too small. I think Pantoja's just going to muscle him around. I think he's going to throw him around. Pantoja's an extremely high-level grappler. I don't think people are giving him enough credit going into this fight, and I think that people are overrating Van going into this fight. That was a very, very good war with Brandon Royval, but he was 10 seconds away from losing that fight with Royval before he dropped Royval in the last 10 seconds and just barely got the decision, but it was not an amazing performance by any means, and it was not that dominant. It was not a dominant performance by any means, and I don't think it really gives me that much faith in him to beat Pantoja. I think you need to be dominating guys like Brandon Royval if I think that you're going to beat Pantoja, because Pantoja dominated a guy like Brandon Royval. He dominated Brandon Royval, and he dominated dudes that Brandon Royval has beat barely, like Brandon Moreno. So I don't think you could just, I don't know, I don't think you can I just don't think you can pick Van in this fight, dude. I think Pantoja's going to beat him. I'm absolutely going to be picking Alexandra Pantoja. That fight's amazing, though. And I really, really hope that Van gets it done, because if Van goes out there and, knocks out Pantoja, that'll be one of the coolest things ever, dude. It'll be one of the coolest things ever. And I'm pretty sure he might be the youngest champ in UFC history, or, second youngest, if he wins the belt. Because he is 23, so he would be extremely young if he wins the title. That'd be crazy, but I'm rooting for Joshua Van all the way. But the feature fight on this card is a couple of guys that already fought Joshua Van, or no, only one guy that fought Joshua Van. Yeah, Taira hasn't fought any of these guys, but Brandon Moreno taking on Tatsuro Taira. This is an amazing fight as well. This is extremely high level for flyweight. I think the winner of this probably gets the next shot at Pantoja. And I think that if Taira wins, which I think he will, that'll be another extremely good title defense for Pantoja if he can get that done, because Van and Taira would be very, very proven prospects and very, very deserving of a title shot, which is extremely rare in this flyweight division. Oftentimes you see these flyweights get title shots for seemingly no reason off of one fight win streaks or no wins, even no ranked wins. I mean, Steve Erceg was 3-0 in the UFC and got a title shot off of Matt Schnell, and that wasn't even short notice or anything. He actually got the title shot straight up. So, like, the flyweight division has been very, very bad for years, but I think right now we got some good prospects here in Van and Taira, and I think that Taira is going to beat Brandon Moreno. I think he's going to choke him out, dude. Brandon Moreno, he's extremely tough, and on the feet, he's looked amazing, of course, and in his last fights, he has done very, very well. I mean, his fight with Amir Albazi was extremely good. That was a great fight. That fight made me feel very confident for Moreno in the future, but I think that Taira is extremely good. I think that Taira is legit. He went to a super, super close 5-round fight with Brandon Moreno. Or not Brandon Moreno, Brandon Rival. That was a great fight there. And you could even argue that he won at that fight. That was a great fight. And then, you know, Brandon Moreno, he beat up Amir Albazi. And he dominantly beat Amir Albazi. But Amir Albazi was a turtle in a tree, dude. Like, I don't even know how he got in the top 5. I do not know how he was in the top of the flyweight division. I actually do know how, because he brutally robbed Kai Kara-France in their fight. But Amir Albazi did not prove anything. Amir Albazi sucks, dude. And I think that Taira would probably finish Amir Albazi. And, dude, Moreno, yeah, dude, Moreno styled on Amir Albazi. That's just what it is, all right? But, of course, he's going to style on him. I think that Taira's above that. And I think that Taira, he did just choke out Hyung Sung Park. And Hyung Sung Park, obviously, Moreno is way above a Hyung Sung Park. But I don't know. Moreno's getting up there in age, and he didn't look that good against Rival in their fight. That was an extremely bad performance from Moreno. Although he only lost by split decision, and the fight was close, that's just how Rival's going to do it. He's going to keep the fight close because he has to flick his jab, too, at range. Like, he's, like, flicking, like, he's, like, trying to hit, like, it's, like Rival fights like he's fighting, like, point karate. You know, he's just trying to, like, touch you, not actually hit you. That's exactly how Rival was doing it against Moreno, and he was just keeping him at bay, and Moreno looked absolutely terrible in that fight, and I'm concerned for him in this fight. I don't think that he's going to be able to put Taira away on the feet, and I think on the ground, Taira's going to have the advantage for sure, and I do think that Taira's going to get the takedown. And Taira's very, very good at getting your back. He has that dynamic ability. He has that X-factor ability on the ground where he can get to your back very, very well and choke you out very, very well from the back, and I think that he's going to be able to do that on Brandon Moreno, because having that type of ability, I mean, Pantoja, you saw Pantoja get Moreno's back many, many times when they fought, and I think that Taira's going to be able to get on the back of Brandon Moreno, and I think he's either going to have enough control on the ground to win a decision, just barely, or I think that he's going to choke him out on the back, and I'm going to pick him by a 3rd round rear naked choke finish. I think that he's going to choke out Brandon Moreno, but moving down the card, Jan Blachowicz taking on Bogdan Guskov. This fight's great. This fight is absolutely great. Jan Blachowicz getting a very, very big step down in competition, which is good for him because he needs a step down in competition. And he's taking on Bogdan Guskov. And Bogdan Guskov is coming off of a win over Nikita Krylov. But Nikita Krylov, man, he got knocked out like 3 months apart, I think. 2 KO losses like 3 months apart from each other. And Bogdan Guskov was the second one. And Reyes was the first one. And Krylov should not have been in there against Bogdan Guskov when he was, and it was an extremely bad idea for Krylov to go in there against Guskov, and I think that Guskov got a free win in that fight. I really think that he got a free win, and I don't think that he's on Jan Blachowicz' level. Jan Blachowicz, although I think he's getting a little underrated in today's day and age, and he is getting up there in age. He's a little bit of an older guy, right, and he's taken a lot of damage over his career, but dude, just like not too long ago, this guy took Ankalaev to a draw, damn near beat Alex Pereira. He has some great wins in the UFC light heavyweight division. He damn near beat Carlos Ulberg. All these guys are like championship contenders or UFC champions. So I just don't think that Bogdan Guskov is anywhere near that level. And I think that Jan Blachowicz is going to do his thing on the feet. I think he's going to leg kick at range. I think he's going to use the jab. And I think he's going to put on the legendary Polish power on Bogdan Guskov. I'm taking him by a unanimous decision, 30-27. But the fight that I was most interested in talking about, it was Peyton Talbott versus Henry Cejudo. This fight is extremely interesting. A very, very weird fight in my opinion. Very, very weird fight from the UFC. Peyton Talbott getting a shot in the top 10. Henry Cejudo, what is he even doing in the top 10? These guys are very, very strange fighters. Very, very strangely match made in this UFC division. But shit, dude. I'm taking Henry Cejudo, I think. I think I'm going to take Henry Cejudo. Never in my life do I think I would have had to predict Peyton Talbott versus Henry Cejudo on a pay-per-view, but I'm doing it, and it's happening right now, and I think that Cejudo is going to beat him. I think he's going to outstrike him on the feet. Peyton Talbott, his striking did not look very good, not as fluent, not as flowy against Felipe Lima, and that could be because he could have just been, you know, a little nervous on the feet because he is coming off of that loss to Ronnie Barcelos. He could have been nervous of the grappling that Felipe Lima was going to show. But it was very strange because Peyton Talbott's grappling actually was the thing that showed for him. He out-grappled Felipe Lima on multiple occasions in that fight, and he really won the fight with his grappling rather than his striking. And honestly, I think that's a bad sign if you're fighting a guy like Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo, although his offensive wrestling in MMA is not the best, I don't think that you're going to be able to offensively grapple on Henry Cejudo. He has some great defensive wrestling, and he has some great wrestling accolades, although he doesn't really show it much in the UFC. He doesn't shoot many takedowns, Henry Cejudo, but I do think that if he wants to, he can take down Peyton Talbott, and I think that he's going to outstrike him on the feet. Peyton Talbott damn near got outstruck by Felipe Lima. He was getting pinged around by Ronnie Barcelos whenever they were on the feet, but you know, that was because of the takedown threat. But if Ronnie Barcelos is taking you down that badly, I feel like Henry Cejudo is going to toss you around, but I don't know. That fight is extremely interesting. I think I'm going to be taking Henry Cejudo by decision in that one. So I think my predictions for this main card as of right now will be Cejudo by decision, Blachowicz by decision, Taira by submission. I think I'm going to be taking Pantoja by submission, and I'm going to be taking merab by decision. So if you guys like the video, subscribe to my channel. I'm really, really hyped for these fights. UFC 323, it's absolutely stacked, and who's with me?